When we filmed this down in central London, those seats there, that you're in there, were raked. Which was a good idea, wasn't it? I'm only talking to the front row. Pass it back.
No, I actually prefer this design, because it's more like a jury.
Good evening and welcome to Have I Got News For You, back on air and eager to cover the European elections within BBC guidelines. I'm Rhod Gilbert, leader of Plaid Cymru. Oh, bugger. In the news this week, in North London, a keen competitor checks out the rules for this year's Best Organic Cauliflower competition. Chris Grayling has decided to quit the harsh world of politics and concentrate on his window cleaning business. And on a road near Downing Street, number 10's chief mouser, Larry, proves his negotiation skills are as strong as his owners. On Ian's team tonight is a broadcaster and journalist whose new book is an agenda-setting, taboo-busting look at menstruation. The BBC have already bought the rights and are planning to turn it into a period drama. Please welcome Emma Barnett. And with Paul tonight is a comedian who, by his own admission, still lives at home with his parents. Oh, they'll be thrilled he's on the show tonight, as it means the bathroom's finally free. Please welcome Tom Allen.
I was doing my hair.
And we start with the bigger stories of the week. Ian and Emma, take a look at this.
It's the maze, praying for a miracle.
Oh, he's been let go from the Jeremy Kyle show.
Vince is blowing his nose. Oh, that's David Cameron, is it? Well, I notice in this supposedly balanced clip, we don't see Nigel Farage. Well, I think it's pretty poor of the BBC. We have a whole range of leaders here, and not Farage. I turned on the television the other night, and, well, it's about 3 in the morning, and he wasn't on. Typical BBC bias.
You turned on your own television?
You've caught me out lying already. I had some chap to do it. No, I was very confused last week. Were you confused last week? Yes. I turned on the television, there was Mrs. Brown's Boys. I thought Gordon Brown's wife got her own series.
I don't believe you, Ian, because years ago when I hosted this, you confessed to watching Gogglebox at the same time that this goes out.
Yeah, that's right. Traitor.
But anyway, you won't see any of this. It's not going out.
It's a new way of the programme going out. Instead of recording it and actually broadcasting it, these people here have been told to go around and tell their neighbours about what it was like, who was on it, and we'll build up figures that way. Word of mouth.
As you know, the show was pulled last week, and I shouldn't really do this, but do you want to have a quick look at some of the highlights?
Yeah.
Let's have a little look.
On Ian's team tonight is a... Does anyone know the baby's full name? Yes. Yes. Indeed. I have after I had sex with the Duke of Edinburgh.
You were very keen on Brexit having to go through, despite it not being a very good idea. Oh, I see. Is that going to happen?
Good night.
That's brilliant. I mean, the BBC said they didn't want to draw attention to the show, and I think they certainly haven't.
Back to the story. Do you remember Brexit Theresa May's master plan to solve the Brexit crisis, what is it?
It's to have another vote.
Yeah.
It's fourth time lucky, a new proverb.
Yeah.
There is a new strategy. If you listen to Jeremy Hunt this week, and I'm sure many of you did, he said that the Conservatives are going to get crucified in the European elections, his words, and that will hopefully strike fear in the hearts of Conservative MPs who voted against the deal last time, and then they will vote for Theresa May's deal. And it's one of the weirdest strategies I've ever heard.
Why doesn't Jeremy say the important thing? We're going to get crucified at Eurovision.
Yes.
That's the main thing people care about.
OK.
There's a second bit to the strategy now, though, isn't there?
Go on. You know more, as the leader of Plaid Cymru.
She's agreed to exit.
Yeah, but she agrees to go every week.
Hasn't she given us a date now?
No, she never says when.
Well, no, it's a bit awkward, because when she brings back the deal, it's the same week of the state visit of Donald Trump. So she can't resign while he's here, although that would be...
Oh, that'd be great.
Fantastic.
Imagine the
wouldn't it?
Queen doing the introduction. Have you met my Prime Minister? No, not you. This one, Jeremy. He's wearing his best tracksuit.
Do we know when fourth time lucky is being...
It's near my birthday, June the...
Yeah, June the 17th.
June 17th?
Yeah.
Yes, 3 days after my birthday.
Yeah, June the 17th.
Oh, it's going to really...
it's the first week of June.
Yeah, June the 7th.
June the 3rd?
You're about as good as she is.
Exactly.
It's going to be around June the 3rd, just after the Champions League final. Spurs have got a few injuries. Maybe Theresa can help them out. Watch this. If I said I was going to show you a clip of Theresa May playing football, you'd expect a lot worse than that, I think. I think that was all right.
I'd have expected an own goal, at least.
Why is she bringing it back?
I mean, it's obviously a crisis engulfing the nation.
Even the Brexiteers who don't like the deal, you could argue, have sabotaged their best shot at Brexit.
That's very BBC, you could argue.
You could argue.
They
thank
did,
you.
didn't they?
You said that, not me, my friend.
Yeah. Vote Heidi Allen.
Right.
Can I just check whether this show's actually going out? I've got a few jokes which I'll save for next week.
So as the good ship Theresa sinks slowly beneath the waves, who are the latest Tories to thrust themselves forward?
Oh, I don't like that expression. I don't think anybody in the Tory party can thrust. I don't think they've got their own hips.
I think everyone who's been elected ever as a Tory thinks I could do a better job than Theresa May. I mean, they're not wrong.
I think you have to have a photo shoot in your kitchen to get into the race.
Yes. This is James Brokenshire. Here he is, with his smeg.
Oh, that is a lovely
That's
kitchen.
him. I know.
And he's
Count
got-
the ovens, Tom. Count the ovens.
4 ovens.
That we know of. There could be more.
There could be more that come... Maybe that whole work surface is just...
Yeah. Did you spot the maker of the oven there?
No.
Do you want to play a game of Name That Oven?
Always.
It's a great game I've put together. This is how it's going to work.
OK.
Pay attention.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll show you an oven.
Yeah.
You tell me what make it is.
Oh, I love this game!
Is this going to replace us on BBC One?
This is the only bit they'll play.
This is just in case it all goes horribly wrong again.
Name that oven.
You took the catchphrase right out of my mouth. Go on, you can introduce it, Ian.
And tonight on BBC One, the unbiased Name That Bosh. Oh,
OK, let's have our first oven, please. Fingers on buzzers.
Oh. I think that's an AEG. My friend's got it with the rotating knob.
Oh.
The oven or the friend?
No, actually, why do you think he's a friend?
This is Bosch, I'm afraid. Let's have your next oven.
That's a Dyson.
A Dyson oven?
Oh, Ian, there's the words of somebody who's never cooked a meal in their own house before.
How many ovens have you got, Ian, in your house?
We got one.
One.
I've got a very small one that does toast.
Right.
Well, there's pop-up ovens.
I haven't got an oven, no, I just...
I can't imagine you with an oven.
What do you mean you can't imagine me with an oven?
I can't see you with an oven.
You've got a power of imagination, haven't you?
Yeah, I know, but it doesn't stretch that far.
Not stretch... Well, would you see me next to a fridge?
Yes, I can, actually.
A water filter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why not an oven?
I don't know. I was hoping you could tell me.
I can't tell you why you can't imagine why I'm not next to an oven.
Can you see Paul next to an oven, Tom.
Absolutely not, and I'd be disgusted if I saw you next to one.
Why?
I just always imagine you going to a Carluccio's.
Here's your last oven. It's a tricky one, this. Tom.
Neff.
That'll do, it's hot point.
Oh.
Take me back to the leadership not quite yet race. Who else has put themselves forward? Who else has thrown their hat in the ring? Conservatives.
Jeremy Hunt?
Yeah.
You mentioned him earlier.
Looking for somebody else.
Somebody...
Amber Rudd.
Looking for somebody else. It's quite a
Liz
busy
Truss.
field.
John
Liz
Major.
Truss.
Liz Truss is the right answer.
Ah.
If you're not sure what she looks like, here she is. I think she's spotted a photographer in the distance. It's a very different image to the Liz Truss of a few years ago, as this clip will show.
We import 2/3 of our cheese. That is a disgrace.
She's gone from that to looking like, I don't know, the loos for the women have broken in the Commons. She's squatting on Jez's allotment. I mean, it's just extraordinary.
Is she trying to create the silhouette of the Shard between her trousers?
There's a parliamentary by-election in Peterborough this week.
Yeah.
Guess who's going to hear some of the candidates being interviewed by Radio 4's Ross Hawkins about the by-election this week? You are.
OK.
Finally.
Here's the UKIP candidate.
I'm John Whitby. I'm the UKIP councillor for Peterborough constituency.
You're not the UKIP councillor, John.
No, sorry, I'm not, am I? I was.
And here's the Brexit Party candidate who's got some strong views on the EU and education.
We'll have more control about what we do in education, what we do for child poverty, how we spend the money that's going to the EU at the moment.
So which bit of European law or administration or bureaucracy is stopping us from doing something you specifically would like to do to address problems in education and child poverty?
I haven't gone into the detail of legal specific laws.
I should point out that in the interest of balance, that all of the candidates in the Peterborough by-election are equally shit.
That's what you get if you apply rigidly those supposed guidelines. You don't make any distinction between rubbish and the truth, or people are any good or people are not any good. You just say it has to be the same amount of time. I mean, it is nonsense.
Although...
Sorry, it just is. This week, there was going to be an old documentary of mine about immigration played on BBC 4 at 10 o'clock.
I thought you might bring this up.
It was pulled because there's an interview in the middle of it with Alan Johnson and one with Baroness Warsi. It was made years ago, as a repeat. Sorry, I'm feeling very persecuted. But why can't we have a documentary about immigration in the lead-up to a European election in which one of the great themes has been immigration?
So you...
No.
Yeah. So you've had 2 programmes pulled this week.
3 now.
Why is it a bit tricky for Brexit Party candidates, especially in the Euro elections? What are they lacking?
A leader.
Apart from, debatably, a leader.
A manifesto?
A manifesto.
Why do you need a manifesto nowadays? Just say, hey, vote for me. I like a pint.
Do you, Ian? I can't imagine you with a pint.
Is there anything you can imagine?
I can't imagine you with an oven, Ian with a pint.
You've no idea what happens after this show. We go round to Paul's place, he puts in a pizza, I have a couple of jars.
Yeah.
Wanted a couple of jars, I was going to say.
Jars full of hummus, mostly.
I think some of these politicians need to be interviewed by the BBC's hard-hitting Simon McCoy. Should we have a look at his unique interviewing style?
Yeah.
Please.
The weather was absolutely perfect for us and the numbers of people were astounding, to be quite honest with you. We're now coming to the big dip.
Well, anyway, what about things like wind farms, things like that? Is that changing the feel of a town like this?
Yeah, I think it is to a degree, but we've always had industry here.
I remember a version of that ride when I was at a holiday camp in Great Yarmouth.
I can't imagine you there.
They're sitting even closer than Michael Portillo and Diane Abbott used to on the BBC programme this week. I mean, that is serious proximity.
Do you think eventually Michael Portillo will have to do that ride as one of his great railway journeys?
This is Theresa May's plan to end the Brexit deadlock. According to the Sunday Times, Philip May's emphasis has shifted to hoping his wife can escape from number 10 with dignity. Sorry, Phil, but however she finally goes, Colonel Gaddafi left with more dignity.
Quite right.
Brexit has clearly put a strain on Theresa May's marriage, but there's no way they'll split up, as Philip May knows negotiating a divorce deal would take years, and he'd need the support of Jeremy Corbyn. According to the Telegraph, MPs are sitting in the longest parliamentary session since the English Civil War. Or, as future historians will call it, English Civil War 1. On Thursday, Boris Johnson announced his intention to stand for the party leadership at the British Insurer Convention. Odd place for him to announce it, as he's never been near a sensible policy in his life.
Get it? Very good. Very nice.
He's taken a few
insurance
risks, though, hasn't he?
Premium joke there.
What do you think? I thought it was a bit underwritten.
No! I think we should get to Great Yarmouth and go on that beer.
Better call Churchill.
No. Paul and Tom, take a look at this.
Oh, good. Fish and chips. I love fish and chips. Eating in unison, as people did during the war. Oh, people umbrella. Ah, there's me in my oven. I wonder what oven that is.
Well, that might be suggesting that the supplies of cod, which we normally rely on for our fish and chips, are declining, so we're going to be encouraged to eat jellyfish with our chips instead.
Who says? I mean, absolutely right. Don't get me wrong.
Cod.
You are having a point for that.
Cod.
Cod?
Cod is saying this. We're sick of being depleted. You make us part of your national dish, you cover us in batter. We're not having any more of it.
No, it's a report on the future of food predicts that the nutrients in a jellyfish and the fact that the warming oceans will ensure a plentiful supply will make it a popular replacement for cod and haddock.
Oh, good.
By 2050.
Oh, that's ages away. Who cares?
Not far away.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Is this your attitude to all crises?
Yeah, who
Brexit,
cares?
climate change.
Yes, I'll be dead in 5 years.
Jellyfish are typically regarded as a last resort food source.
Ooh.
What is a last resort food source?
Bran flakes. If it's a choice.
Your family. What? Your family.
Nice. Okay, you've gone really
Well,
last
you eat your
resort.
family before something else? That's got to be last resort, isn't it?
The way you're going to eat them is in chips, apparently. What they've done is they've found a way of sort of drying them out. It takes days, apparently, presumably over a radiator, and then you make chips with them.
But how are you going to power the radiator if we've not got any energy left?
Good point.
See, no one's thought this through at all.
So I have thought about. Here's a fun fact. Do you know what jellyfish is in Welsh?
Jellyfish.
There's different words for it in Welsh, yeah, but one of them is quite interesting. Pysgodyn wibbly wobbly. If I told you that pysgodyn is fish, you could probably work the rest out.
I thought that was the manifesto of Plaid Cymru.
Other food news, related food news. Who has been chosen to front an advert for Warburton's Bagels?
Robert De Niro.
It is Oscar-winning star of Goodfellas and The Godfather, Robert De Niro, who filmed the ad in, do you know?
New York.
Bolton.
Oh.
They got Robert De Niro to go to Bolton.
Yeah, apparently.
Blimey.
Do you want to see it?
Yeah, of course.
But you want to make it in the bagel business, you got to break some breads. And once we've taken care of the competition...
Ashes to ashes.
Crust to crust.
All we got to do is sit back and watch the dough roll in. You're looking at the new boss of Bolton.
Well, I'm not sure they filmed any of that in Bolton. There were no exteriors.
No.
No, didn't see the
That's
Octagon
a very
Theatre.
shortened, a very edited thing. It's very long, the advert. I don't know how long it goes on for, but
right.
that is edited highlights.
Oh, right, OK.
Yeah. Chairman of the company, Jonathan Warburton, said... Do you know why they chose Robert De Niro?
Bagels are considered a very New York item, and so is Robert De Niro, so we thought we'd match these two iconic New Yorkers together.
As an iconic New Yorker, Robert De Niro knows his way around a bagel. Although, to be fair, I'm Welsh and I know my way around a bagel. In other food news, what has supermarket Aldi done that has sent Scotland into meltdown?
Have they made a square sausage?
They have.
Oh, yes.
How did Scotland react?
With anger.
On social media? With anger. With
very
furious
calmly.
anger. One user tweeted a picture of Mel Gibson as William Wallace with the heartfelt words, "They may take our lives, but they'll never take our sausage." Another user tweeted, "Sturgeon must condemn." While a third simply said, "They're called lawn sausages, you absolute ball bags." If I tell you that bags means bags, you can work out the rest. Let's end on a positive. Air travel is getting a bad press at the moment because of its effect on the climate. But what did one happy Ryanair customer praise them for this week?
Cancelling the flight.
Landing at the airport that they'd suggested they were heading to.
Suggested. Yeah, well, Gary tweeted Ryanair to say, "I've just landed in Lisbon. The whole experience was seamless from beginning to end. Everyone was extremely helpful, but in particular your cabin crew, who were friendly and professional. Very impressed." Ryanair were quick to respond. "Hi, Gary. Sorry for the inconveniences. Please submit a complaint here." Please submit a complaint here. Yes, this is the news that the future of food is going to change radically, and by 2050, we will all be eating chips made out of jellyfish. Apparently, in the future, jellyfish will be a common sight on supermarket shelves. And the great news is, with all the plastic in our oceans, they'll come pre-packed. Meanwhile, Robert De Niro has been filming a bagel advert for Warburton's in Bolton. A far cry from when he burst onto the scene in Taxi Driver. The whores, skunk pussies, dopers, junkies, sick, venal. Someday a real rain will come and wash all this scum off the streets, he said as he arrived in Bolton. I think I've got to go on tour to Bolton. Fellow Hollywood star Angelica Houston has criticised De Niro for taking light roles just for the money, to which De Niro replied...
They're way ahead of you.
To which De Niro replied, "If you're looking for a really good light role, my favourite are Warburton's wholemeal buns." Supermarket chain Aldi made the mistake of claiming to have invented the square sausage, when, of course, it's long been a staple of the Scottish breakfast, which you can turn into a continental breakfast by enjoying it with a can of Stella. And so, to round two, the picture spin quiz. Fingers on the buzzers teams. Ian and Emma.
I think that's Charlie, and that's Simon. No, it isn't. I think this is a story about some headmaster of a public school complained about a very small variation in the number of people going to Oxbridge.
The victims were the children at his 12,000 a term school because of social engineering.
Yes, and he got very, very overexcited by this and said it was persecution.
Yep, this is the news that Oxford and Cambridge universities have been criticised for taking in more students from state school backgrounds. Tom, I read somewhere that you used to dress a little like our picture here when you were a teenager.
I used to dress up in Victorian clothing in a bid to distract people from the fact I was gay.
Did that work?
Yes, sort of. I went to a very ordinary comprehensive school, and I would sometimes dress up a little bit like... Not quite as much as that, and people would shout things. But...
What did the head of Stowe School, Anthony Wallersteiner, compare Oxbridge admissions policies to?
Well, it gets worse, because
Yes.
he's Jewish and he said it was like discrimination against the Jews. It was an incredibly stupid thing to say.
It was relatively easy for Hitler to suggest that the Jewish minority was overrepresented in key professions. Privately educated pupils in the UK are also being accused of dominating the top jobs and stifling social mobility. That's just the Labour Party. 14% of Labour MPs were privately educated, including Jeremy Corbyn. Do you know what his nickname was at school?
Farage.
His nickname was Jelly. This is the news that state schools are taking more places at Oxford and Cambridge. Parents who send their children to Stowe School in Buckinghamshire have reacted angrily to the report. Hogwash, Balderdash and Codswallop are just three of the boys who didn't get into Oxford. Fingers on buzzers, teams.
Donald Trump's come in for his old friend, hasn't he?
He's been pardoned. Yeah, by Donald Trump, which is the equivalent of saying, you are guilty. If anyone had any doubt before whether he was a crook and a con man and was right to go to jail for fraud, they don't now. Donald's pardoned him guilty.
This is the news that Conrad Black has been pardoned by Donald Trump. What did he actually do that required pardoning?
It was a fraud against the company he ran. He was siphoning off the assets of Hollinger. He was on this show once. He was sitting right next to Paul there, trying to explain why he was innocent. It was a very funny show.
Did it go out?
Oh, no, they put that one out because there was no bias. No, he was guilty.
Didn't you write a book about Donald Trump that was incredibly favourable quite recently? So that may or may not have helped with that decision.
He did. He wrote a long book saying Donald Trump is a genius.
Do you think that helped with the grease the wheels of pardon?
I think it did, because Donald then said that Conrad Black is a great man and a scholar. I mean, so Trump had read any book that didn't involve colouring.
Finally, a bit of fun. Have you ever wondered how you might curry favour with Trump using just a pair of socks? Let's have a look. But he was lucky he had the hairy legs.
A fellow socks offender.
This is the news that Conrad Black has been pardoned by Donald Trump. Before writing a biography of Donald Trump, Conrad Black previously wrote about Richard Nixon, and then just changed all the names. Fingers on buzzers, teams.
Is it the highway code has got more difficult?
I'll give you that. This is the news that the pass rate for driving theory tests is at its lowest in more than a decade. Only 47.4% passed, down from nearly 70% 10 years ago. What reasons are given for the decline in pass rates?
Questions have got harder, have they?
Examination authorities have decided to stop publishing tests in advance online. Apparently, people were peaking. Should we test everyone's driving theory? With that? You've passed
Yes,
your
I
test.
did it.
Ian, you've passed your...
Yeah, when I took it, you just had to identify the man with the flag.
Paul, you're a driver, I presume?
Yes.
I can't imagine that.
No.
Let's test everyone's driving theory knowledge with a little quiz. Here we go. What does this sign mean? Tom.
There are Napoleon impersonators up ahead.
A bump ahead. Oh, you might know this one, Ian.
Dangerous speeding vehicle.
Carts not attached to wheels, beware.
Looks like Jacob Rees-Mogg, if you look carefully.
Which one?
Yeah.
No horse-drawn vehicles. What about this one?
Beware, peacock driving vehicle.
No, that's no vehicles carrying explosives. Please. Now then, a little bit trickier. Let's up the ante here. You're approaching a roundabout.
Yes.
In front of you, a horse rider is in the left-hand lane, approaching same roundabout. Where should you expect the rider to go? He's in the left-hand lane in front of you.
The left-hand lane in front of you, well, you would expect him to turn left.
Is it that he could go anywhere? Because it's a horse. You can't expect a horse to learn the highway code.
You're right. You should expect it to go in any direction. Yes, this is the news that driving tests are getting harder. A large part of the theory test includes multiple-choice questions, such as, if you get hit by the Duke of Edinburgh, which newspaper do you go to? One of the places with the highest pass rates is the Isle of Mull, though the test does get trickier if the traffic light isn't working. Time now for the odd one out round. It's just one between you this week. Your four are the seaside village of Lansing, Norwich City FC's open-top bus parade, filming of Bond 25, and Vladimir Putin's ice hockey victory lap.
Ooh. OK, so I think there might have been an accident on the latest James Bond film. A stuntman might have fractured an ankle or something. So is it about accidents?
Did one of the Norwich City players fall off the bus, or did they have an injury during a match?
Someone playing hockey with Putin have some sort of unfortunate poisonous attack and...
The clue is it's to do with length.
Was Bond too long as a film?
What happened as a result of these accidents?
Somebody got injured.
The process goes on too long.
Things got shorter.
Now, right.
Yes!
I'm going to give you the point, Tom. They've all been cut short. Well, 1 point, but for another point, pick the odd one out.
The Lancing is the odd one out because all the others were cut short.
Yes, but I need a little bit more.
The Lancing one was made longer.
But how?
Has Lancing's beach been made longer?
Not quite.
The
sea's been made shorter.
Nearly there. They've all been cut short apart from the seaside village of Lancing, which is attempting to make itself longer.
By what?
Lancing on Sea.
Yes. Lancing on Sea. To make itself sound posher and therefore attract more tourists, presumably.
They should go for the Strictly Come Lancing. I'm a marketing genius. And you're sitting there groaning.
Are you determined that this show won't go out tomorrow night?
According to residents, what can you enjoy in Lancing?
It's a very good public school.
Residents claim the main attractions are betting shops, charity shops and takeaways. While on social media, another suggested it should in fact be renamed Dump by the Sea. Why did the council not hang bunting across the streets of Lancing?
Were they scared that the bunting would get stolen and turned into bikinis?
Too out there.
Fine.
According to a council spokesman, the putting up of bunting was too complicated. Why is filming on the new Bond film being cut short?
He's hurt his ankle.
He has.
In a stunt, and he's very annoyed because he got super fit for it, and he's had to pause filming.
Daniel Craig, who plays international man of mystery and ruthless secret agent 007, has sprained his ankle. According to The Sun, he was pretty angry, adding that when it happened, he threw his suit jacket on the ground in sheer frustration.
Very Bond-like responses, aren't they?
Yeah.
James Bond never really says that, does he?
No.
Oh, I'm so annoyed.
No.
Well, that's really annoyed me, what you've done there. I'm fuming, actually. No, don't talk to me for a minute. I'm so angry. I need to... Just need a minute.
You've really crossed the line, Blofeld, this time. Why did Norwich City FC's promotion celebrations get cut short?
The bus broke down.
Absolutely right. Let's have a look at the victory parade in action.
Oh.
Well, get used to it. That is what life will be like in the Premier League, Norwich. What last-minute solution did they come up with?
Another bus.
What kind of bus?
Was it just a normal bus? Did they just get on and pay a normal...
They got on a Norwich City sightseeing bus.
Oh, what?
Yeah, a journey that doesn't normally take very long at all. It says here. I've got to go to Norwich on tour. How was Vladimir Putin's ice hockey victory lap cut short?
He fell over.
Let's have a look. A section of carpet was especially laid out on the ice, as shortly afterwards was the body of the person who put it there, I imagine. In other news, what was Andrew Neil forced to cut short this week?
His interview was cut short by his interviewee, who said, "I'm done," and left the studio in America.
Yeah. Do you know who he was?
Ben Shapiro.
Indeed. Do you know why he left?
Because he felt that the interviewer was biased against him, and he felt there was no point continuing, and he didn't like any of the quotes from the book that he was there to promote being dredged up against him.
This is his interview with right-wing American commentator Ben Shapiro, who prematurely ended his interview with Neil on Politics Live after calling him a lefty. Let's have a look at it.
I don't frankly give a damn what you think of me since I've never heard of you.
And I've never heard of you until I briefed myself for this. But that's not the issue. You have a
Then
new
why the hell
book
are you
out,
interviewing
and
me, sir?
it's an interesting book. But my point is, your book claims that
Well, it'd be nice if you would quote it from time to time.
Your book is... Well, actually, I've done so several times, and I'm about to do so again, if you would let me just finish the question. Your book
frankly, I don't
claims
think
that
this- you know what?
society
Honestly-
is turning
honestly,
its
sir?
back on Judeo-Christian values.
Yeah, this
what are
considering
those values?
considering
what are the values it's turning its back on?
I'm not inclined to continue an interview with a person as badly motivated as you as an interviewer. So I think we're done here. I appreciate your time, sir.
All right,
Thank you so
well,
much.
thank you for your time.
And he ended up calling Andrew Neil a sort of typical lefty BBC interviewer, which gave some of us a laugh.
Have you had this kind of... You've experienced it?
Well, I think I'm slowly
You're seeing this playbook more and more?
I am, and I also fear I'm getting out of a job where more and more people just won't come and be interviewed by me. So soon I'll be done.
Yeah.
This is it. This could be one of my final...
Appearances?
Yeah.
Well, you probably won't appear anyway.
They've all been cut short, apart from the seaside village of Lancing, which is attempting to make itself longer. After Norwich City's open-top bus broke down, they immediately got on another bus. That's modern football for you. You get promoted to the Premiership, and straight away you're looking for a new coach. Daniel Craig badly injured his ankle while filming the latest Bond movie. Only last week, details of the cast were announced. It's a plain white one with his toes poking out the end.
Like, I always think I'd be a great spy. I'd be a great gay James Bond. But instead of 007, it'd be Ooh 7.
Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication European Cleaning Journal. Like many European publications, it supports the freedom of movement of people, just as long as they wait until the floor's dried. And we start with man gets a free KFC for a year by what?
Bucket.
By bucket?
It's delivered in a bucket.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Something tells me you don't go to KFC very often, Ian.
This would be my dream.
What, getting free KFC for a year?
I love KFC.
Well, it may well happen now.
I'm so...
How would you do it, Emma, if you were to
How
try
would-
and get free KFC for a year?
Well, didn't a woman get this because she said that their chips were utterly shit, which they are, and then they upped their game?
I think you might have blown it now.
Man gets KFC for a year by visiting every Kentucky Fried Chicken shop in the UK.
Does he put it on TripAdvisor?
Man gets free KFC for a year by, this is brilliant, claiming he was from head office. A bonus point.
That's brilliant.
A bonus point if you could tell me what he had written on his ID card to convince staff that he was from head office.
Colonel Sanders.
I'm from head office.
Yes. Head office. This is the news that a man has been arrested after getting hundreds of free KFC meals by claiming he was a food quality inspector. He tried to outrun the police, but unfortunately now weighs 36 stone. Next. Man dives to deepest depths of the oceans and discovers what?
Twin brother eating a tomato. Eating a cucumber.
I'm going to give you a point anyway, but
It's
no.
plastic. He discovered plastic.
Plastic
Bag.
Plastic bag.
Well, that's
Right
handy
there.
for collecting all that coral to bring back up, I should think.
According to the Times, the plastic carrier bag had the letter S on it. All the other letters having faded from the bag that once held Jacques Cousteau's packed lunch. Next. Man proposes to girlfriend by what? And people are disgusted.
Crevice tool.
What?
Well, I don't know. It's a cleaning magazine.
Man
isn't it?
proposes to... What's a crevice tool?
Well, there's somebody who's never used a Hoover. Is it something like arranging something disgusting like pubic hair or something like that?
I'll give it to you, Tom. Man proposes to girlfriend by producing ring made of his own hair, and people are disgusted.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's less disgusting than what I just suggested.
We were going to show you a picture, but now we're experts on BBC guidelines. We realised we'd be taken off the air if we showed you a photo of a man's hairy ring.
I expect that would go out.
Next, when in Rome...
When in Rome, be aware that their hygienic standards are somewhat higher than you might expect at home.
No.
No. When in Rome, speak Italian. They expect it.
When in Rome, consider attending something.
The European Cleaning and Hygiene Awards.
Yes, it is. The European Cleaning and Hygiene Awards, yes. Ironically, the winners take their awards home, where they gather dust on the mantelpiece. Next, cleaners in Sweden being taught what to help them what?
Being taught the Macarena to help them polish the floor.
No.
ABBA to help them make money, money, money.
No. Oh. Nice, though.
Thank you. Bonus point?
No. Actually, yes. Cleaners in Sweden being taught judo to help them avoid slipping on wet floors. Apparently, slipping over is the most common cause of injury among Swedish cleaners. In 1 year, there were 304 serious falls. Luckily, only one of them kicked the bucket.
It's like being on the two Ronnies sometimes.
Next, survey reveals Essex voted what?
Henry the Hoover as their king.
Henry the Hoover, is he a relative of Danny Dyer's?
You've never even heard of it as a brand, have you?
Hoover, of course I have.
Henry the Hoover.
My one's called Hooray Henry.
Survey reveals Essex voted what? Give up.
Sexiest accent?
Yes.
Oh, is it?
Britain's sexiest accent It's absolutely right. And finally, Honey the sausage dog is obsessed with what?
Sausages, honey.
Is it Honey the sausage dog is obsessed with crossbreeding dogs with foodstuffs?
No.
Like melancholies?
No.
Hot poodles?
Oh, I was going to challenge you to do another one.
I just did it.
I know. Honey the sausage dog is obsessed with vegan sausages. Honey the sausage dog wasn't the only one to try the vegan sausages. To make sure they were safe for consumption, they were tested in a lab.
Oh, there's the third one.
And the final scores are Paul and Tom have 6, and Ian and Emma also have 6.
Very I'll never let you win. It's all right.
But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition. Ian and Emma have this.
Is it Royal Baby Shock? Hello, Nicholas Witchell.
Danny Baker.
Paul and Tom, you get that.
Am I getting smaller?
And I leave you with news of that. In New York, Donald Trump's newly installed Commissioner for Standards and Public Decency celebrates his appointment. In Hurlingham, World Polo Championship organisers say the event will go on despite an outbreak of equine flu. And in Westminster, a new tenant regrets renting the flat below Vince Cable. Good night.
Well, if you're not ready for bed or want something for your next journey, the News Quiz with Miles Jupp is available to download now for free from BBC Sounds.